Whoa, they like.
Boy, if you don't get... What's up, y'all? This is Relly, back with another video. Yes, son, today we got to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers because a lot of stuff has been happening just in this week alone. But before we get into that, I need y'all to smash that subscribe button. And if you're already subscribed to my channel, share it to somebody who ain't subscribed because we are still on that grind, and with y'all, I know we can get there. But when y'all are done with that, I need y'all to hover over to that like button. I need y'all to smash that too so we can tell the YouTube algorithm to share this video with the world. But with all that being said, let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. First thing first, I feel like I need to address the people who's been asking me, should the Cleveland Cavaliers consider firing JB Bickerstaff, right? And a lot of those people has said the reason why they feel this way, the reason why they've asked these questions is because they have a lot of criticism to JB Bickerstaff rotations in games, right? And honestly, that is very, very fair criticism. But what I would say is if you really look at the full picture of that, a lot of that is not his fault, right? Because if you look at it, we've had 1,001 players hurt, right? And if you look at the current circumstance of the Cleveland Cavaliers, almost everybody has been in trade talks, right? Which kind of shrinks the amount of choices he has to put out on the floor, right? And I feel like JB Bickerstaff is really just taking orders. Like even with the Andre Drummond, right? Andre Drummond, I feel like he really want to utilize Andre Drummond a lot more. But as you see, they shut that down literally immediately, right? Now, it's great that Kobe Altman had the conversation with Andre Drummond, and I'm sure he had the conversation with JB Bickerstaff. But what about all the other players that we haven't seen on the news that said, you know, basically the same thing is going on, right? And I feel like this is kind of forcing JB Bickerstaff hands in a lot of situations because he doesn't really have that many pieces to really try out, right? Now, when the trade deadline is over, now I feel like we could really see how impactful JB Bickerstaff rotation is. But right now, I think it's a little too early to really say fire JB Bickerstaff. Want to join a community of people who likes to debate and post memes and news about basketball? Well, join my Discord and join the grind season. Let's build a community of passionate NBA fans. The link will be down in the description box below. See you there. I need y'all to do me a favor, y'all. I need y'all to go over to Jalen MDB channel and tell him Relly sent y'all. Also, I would love to shout out Kevin Porter Jr. for finally being able to play on the main roster for the Houston Rockets. It's about time, man. Kevin Porter Jr. is a very special talent. Yes, I understand Kevin Porter Jr. is not on the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I still want him to do great things because he's a gem, right? He was going to be a gem on any team he was on, and I just can't wait for Kevin Porter Jr. to unlock his true potential as a star. Now, of course, we gotta talk about the Cleveland Cavalier trade rumors, right? This is why a lot of people is here today for the Cleveland Cavalier trade rumors, right? I know what y'all want, and I know what y'all want to hear, so it's about that time. Let's talk about it, right? For starters, let's talk about Kevin Love because a lot of people was rejoicing when they heard the news that Kevin Love potentially is being shopped. And the first team that's coming up to this challenge is the Dallas Mavericks. They may very well take the chance of trading for Kevin Love. Now, this is really great for us because we can get rid of the Kevin Love contract. Now, a lot of people's going to say, what would a Kevin Love deal look like? Now, realistically, we might take a bad contract back. This is how this works, right? You don't give up a bad contract unless you're willing to receive a bad contract, especially if you're a rebuilding team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. So at the very least, expect us to get a contract that is somewhat absurd, if not is absurd, but the return we're going to get is going to make it worthwhile. And like I said early on in the video, I said it is a lot of names that's allegedly in these trade talks, right? Like we've heard Kevin Love, we've heard Osman, we've heard Larry Nance Jr., we've heard Turian Prince, we heard JaVale McGee, we heard Andre Drummond. We have a lot of people that's potentially going to be traded, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers could very well look different. And I know a lot of people is very, very excited, especially Cleveland Cavalier fans, is very, very excited to see what happens, right? I'm very, very excited to see how Kobe Altman approaches this trade deadline, right? Because this could make or break the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially when we talk about how the Cleveland Cavaliers' future is going to be 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Now, the next person we got to talk about is no other than Andre Drummond in these trade talks. Andre Drummond trade talks is getting interesting by the day, the minute, by the second, right? And a lot of people ask me, why is Andre Drummond trade talks so interesting to you and a lot of Cleveland fans and a lot of NBA fans? Because Andre Drummond is in a very weird circumstance because a lot of teams can use the services of Andre Drummond because of what he brings. Yes, he is not the modern day big man. We all understand that. But we know NBA is still in high demand of big men who can play defense the way Andre Drummond can play defense, especially when you are a legitimate size big like Andre Drummond, which makes teams like Dallas want him, Brooklyn, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Celtics, the Raptors, the Heat, and many more teams, right? Now, I know you heard rumors that a lot of teams is basically going to call bluff and say, hey, we're going to wait on them on the waivers, right? But realistically, I think that statement alone is bluff, right? Because a lot of these teams desperately need a big man like Andre Drummond. But they're not willing to give up assets to get Andre Drummond because how they're looking at it as, hey, we're contenders and we're going to see how cheap can we get a player, right? But I think what they're kind of quickly seeing is Andre Drummond is and has some value out there in that market, which now puts a lot of these competitive teams on notice because if Andre Drummond does get traded and is not to the team of a caliber of a legitimate playoff or finals contender team, they may have lost their chances of getting a big man that is so detrimental in this era of basketball. We also got to talk about Larry Nance Jr. because unfortunately, he's not safe either from these trade rumors, right? And to be honest, he kind of shocked me, especially this season, because past seasons, I was very, very critical of Larry Nance Jr. because I just did not see what his true worth on the Cleveland Cavaliers was until this season. And then I start seeing the little things Larry Nance Jr. was doing, especially defensively, and as he was improving on his three-point shot, particularly in the corner, which allowed the Cleveland Cavaliers to have a big man that was very, very versatile in terms of rebounding, defense. He could play make a little bit, and he can shoot from the perimeter, which gave us a lot. And I think a lot of teams are seeing that when you get reports that Larry Nance Jr. has caught the eye of basically every team in the NBA. And a lot of teams is going to throw out a package to see, hey, Kobe Altman, what is it going to take to get Larry Nance Jr. on my team, right? And honestly, I can understand that perspective. But at the same time, I don't truly understand why the Cleveland Cavaliers would truly shop Larry Nance Jr., especially when he's shown how impactful he is to the Cleveland Cavaliers and the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers in terms of the direction we're trying to go on and the development of the young guys. So for all my Cleveland Cavalier fans, I got a question for you guys because I've been seeing a lot of news, speculations, and rumors about us getting one of these players, and I kind of want to see how y'all think about this. If y'all had the opportunity to pick one of these guys to be a Cleveland Cavalier, who would you want to be a Cleveland Cavalier? Would it be Kristaps Porzingis or would it be John Collins? I'm very interested to see how y'all feel about that. And for more amazing content, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the grind. And with that being said, go.
Hey, motivated all about cash flow, ran it up and ran out of excuses. In the field and we turned into hoopers.
40 clip like bombs we shooting. Just like some soldiers we trooping. Step back 3, we hooping. We in your house, just like Fortnite.